One of my first experiences with the medical field was having my very first asthma attack. I was about 5 years old, and then another kind of scary experience I had was a lumbar puncture. That was probably the scariest time of my life. It was really the nurses that kind of held my hand through the entire process. They explained everything that was going on to me on a level I could understand, and even included my stuffed animals and my parents in my care, which brought me a lot of comfort.
Just after my first year of school, I went back to Brazil to spend the Christmas with my family and friends. And when I was in Brazil, my grandma ended up falling and hitting her head. So she went to the hospital, to ICU. She eventually got better, but then a few days later, she actually ended up dying because there was a bleeding in her brain that the doctors couldn't catch sooner. So that was one of the things that kind of got me thinking, maybe one day I want to be the person that takes the extra step and be like, hey, shouldn't we be doing like one more exam, one more checkup, just to make sure everything's okay with this patient.
As an international student, and just because I wasn't raised or born here, I feel like that really pushes me to want to go to a medical field, just because the way I grew up, I saw a lot of not as good medical facility when it comes to women's health, when it comes to babies. So for me, at first, I really wanted to do that. I really wanted to go into women's health and to give back my efforts to helping them.
Nursing is actually the second degree that I'm pursuing. Originally, I thought I wanted to go to PA school, so I obtained an EMT license to kind of gain patient hours, and that's where I really fell in love with nursing. I was working hand in hand inside the hospital with them, being the first person to see them when they're having the toughest moment of their life, and it really inspired me to be that person for other people. This patient was having a very kind of scary, similar episode to me with the asthma. I realized that I can kind of step in and be like, I've been there too, but we're gonna get through this together, and kind of give them the comfort that I received. It was definitely full circle.
A lot of things started happening in my life. The place I was living at the time, I had to move out of there. I started living with a friend as a favor. I didn't know for how long. And then my car started having a lot of different problems, and I had to take it to the shop every single month, and it was always so expensive. I was also looking for a job and I couldn't find anything. So I was really desperate. I didn't even know how I was gonna pay for school anymore. I was very financially, strained at that moment. We're in August, fall term's about to start again, and just 5 days before classes started, my car finally gave up. It just stopped working. So that was when I started freaking out. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do now. And then just 2 days after classes started, it was when I received the email saying I had just received the Advent Health Scholars Program scholarship, $10,000. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. To me, it was a miracle because it just came exactly in the right moment where I needed it the most. And that to me was just something I'll forever be grateful for.
During my time at UCF Nursing, I have received the William Randolph Hearst Foundation's Nursing Scholarship, the UCF College of Nursing Alumni Chapter Endowed Scholarship, and the Helene Fold Health Trust Scholarship.
To have the financial aid that they secured me has just been really life-changing.
The Orlando Health Scholarship is so generous that it really does take a very big financial burden off of us. Since this is my second degree, I was kind of a little scared of how I was gonna manage to afford it. It's really allowed me to become part-time and actually focus on my academics and make sure I do have the clinical skills to be able to take them back to Orlando Health.
The scholarship really helped me to ease the burden on my mom too, because she still helps me a lot from Brazil. So I'm really, really grateful for that, because I know it was a strength for her as well.
When you have so many different things going on, it's hard to focus on what you're really here for, which is the academics. The scholarships really do help take off that strain, so I could focus on really why I'm here, and that is to become the best nurse that I can. I think with this program, it teaches you not just to be a good nurse, but how to be a good person, to lend a listening ear, to help wherever you can. It may not be your job, but it's still something that you can do to help a patient in time of need.
My ultimate goal is to become a trauma burn ICU nurse.
I would absolutely love to be a mother and baby nurse.
I really think that I could see myself doing NICU or perhaps multi-systems ICU.
If I could say one thing to the donors is, please keep doing what you're doing, because you don't know how much it truly means to us. You don't know how much that helps us. When you're a student, you're restricted in a lot of ways. It just created such a sense of wanting to give back, because I received that and I was just like, I have to do this for people too. Maybe not even with money, but with my actions.
Thank you so much to Orlando Health for allowing me to pursue my nursing career.
Thank you, Advent Health. Your support truly means more than you could ever imagine.
And thank you to all the other donors for supporting us here at UCF College of Nursing.